Yo guys, for today's video, we're going to be talking about Springleaf Residence, and very likely this will be the launch of the year. And in this video, right, we will dive deeper into whether Springleaf Residence can stand out in the resale market when compared with the Lentor new launches and also Norwood. So stay tuned if you want to find out more. For the outline of this video, I'll be looking at the unique selling points for Springleaf Residence versus the Lentor and Woodlands launches. So this one will help us differentiate whether Springleaf Residence can stand out in the resale market. And the next part, I'll be diving deeper into a particular bedroom type, comparing between Springleaf Residence and Lentor Mansion. And the next part, I'll be also analyzing the site plan and facings to actually rank them and how I would advise my clients to actually prepare for the launch date at Springleaf Residences. For Springleaf Residence, I also foresee very strong long-term growth potential, especially in the TL line. So later on, I'll be drawing a recent example that is a successful case by the government, and I'll be looking at it in terms of the timeline and how the town actually developed, and then drawing comparisons to what we see along Thomson East Coast line now. So stay tuned. To start things off, I want to discuss actually how Guocoland managed to secure this Springleaf Residence plot at such a low price. Okay, so I think this area, if you guys are familiar with the Lentor and Springleaf area, right? Actually, especially for Springleaf, there isn't much amenities there. To be honest, other than Springleaf Prata, I don't think you have heard of anything else, right? Yeah, and other than that, it's more of the forest, the nature, and all these aspects. So for this area, in terms of amenities, really it isn't that mature yet. So that is part of the reason why Guocoland was able to secure at this price. Second reason why I foresee they were able to secure at this price is because for the land requirements, actually URA specified that they had to integrate this plot together with the forest, the Springleaf forest, and at the same time they had to deal with this conserved part of the secondary school. So I think this was quite important, and it also deterred most of the other developers because this presented a significant complexity to the development. For a lot of the developers, maybe they don't have the expertise or the vision to carry this out. That's why you only had one developer, which is Guocoland, that bidded for this particular block. The entire concept of Springleaf Residence, right, is really very tied into this nature preservation portion, because you can see for the site area, Springleaf is over here, right? We are right beside the Springleaf forest, and the main objective of the developers is actually to integrate and conserve the forest together in the site plan. That's why you can see, based on the site plan, they have certain portions that is like becoming those biodiversity ponds, and it's very rich in nature. To be honest, right, I think this is catered to a very specific target audience. And for those of you that loves like going to hikes on your weekends with your family, or you like all those experiential learning environment for your kids, this will be the development. But if you are someone that is like afraid of insects, afraid of those butterfly birds coming into the development, then I don't think this is something for you, because this one is really for the nature lovers and people that really like this nature living. And this is a very rare kind of concept if you see across in Singapore's development, because they could have a lot of developments with the greenery, but very likely they don't have the extensiveness of this kind of like nature concept. But of course, this does raise a question, you know, some of my clients also ask me, actually they have, if you look at the site plan and all the artist's impression of Springleaf Residence, so to be honest, in terms of the maintenance of the development, nobody knows for sure, but I think overall you can see the vision of the entire project and the direction it's actually going to. Okay, just to add on a little bit more, you can see they already identified, right, some of the plants and some of the animals that will actually be entering Springleaf Residence. Okay, you can see the brief over here. Animals can easily move over to Springleaf Residence. So that's why I would say this is a very real possibility, and I think this is not for everyone, definitely. My wife, she was also afraid of all these like insects, all this, so this might not be for everyone. You can let me know in the comment section how you feel about this. Do you think this is a deal breaker for most buyers, or do you think this is actually something unique in Singapore's urban jungle environment? Okay, so right now I'm going to be talking about the conservation building. For this development, I think Guocoland also has integrated this conserved part very well, and this one is up to 4th floor, and they have residential units there. And I've seen some of the layouts, I think they are very good. I think the main concern for this particular conservation building, the units, right, they'll be facing directly to the running track and also the lawn, the open lawn area. So that is like the parade square for the school last time. On top of that, I do foresee this like brick facade. It's going to be quite unique because the entire Springleaf development also follow this particular color code. So they really integrate this into a very like nostalgia kind of feels. I mean, for sure, for sure, this school is built way before my time, okay? So I won't really have any connection with it, but I think for some of the other older generation people, they might already know of this place and the significance of it, okay? But other than that, I'm quite sure the units here will be the last few to go, even though their layouts are decent, unless Guocoland actually price them cheap. This one really you have to see their pricing strategy. Yeah, because on top of facing the running track and the lawn, these particular conservation buildings, they should be facing the future parcel A. They will be the nearest plot towards there. Yeah, so these are some of the things that you need to take note of. Okay, so now I'm going to be talking about the land size and also the density, right, for Springleaf Residence when compared to the Lentor plots. So let's take a closer look. You can see Springleaf Residence is about 344,000 square feet in terms of land size, and this is quite good because it definitely stands out when you look at the other Lentor plots. Lentor Mansion is the closest one, but it's almost 100,000 square feet smaller than Springleaf Residence. So that's advantage number one. And then if I look at the landscaping, right, Springleaf Residence definitely has a much higher landscaping ratio in terms of the land as compared to the other Lentor plots. So for Springleaf Residence, from what I read, the landscaping they have allocated about 70+% towards that, and then the site build up is about 20+%. Okay, so this is definitely a very good ratio and very close to the 80-20 golden ratio that is very desirable in the resale market. And then you can see for the number of units, 941, we are actually spread over 6 blocks because Springleaf Residence is considered a high-rise development when you look at the Lentor area. Because other than Lentor Central, right, of 2 blocks, which is high floor also, the rest of the other developments in Lentor is all low rise. They are like, I think at most 10 plus floor, they won't hit the 20th floor. And Lentor Modern, you can see 186,000 square feet, 3 blocks. Lentor Hills, 184,000 square feet land, 5 blocks. And Torel, 116,000, 3 blocks. Lentor Mansion, 235k square feet land, 6 blocks. Lentor Central, 158,000 square feet and then 2 blocks. So if you see in terms of ratio, I think Lentor Modern and Springleaf Residence will be closer to each other because you see they have 3 blocks and then 6 blocks, but the land is almost double. But of course Lentor Modern is going to be a bit more dense because they have a lot more units and it's not a ×2 kind of ratio. Yeah, so overall you can see the units per block, right? Springleaf is 157, Lentor Modern 202, Lentor Hills 120, Lentor 89, Lentor Mansion 89, and Lentor Central is 239. So later on, I will also be looking closer on the site plan. So this is just really to let you know in terms of land size, where does Springleaf actually stand when compared to the Lentor site. Another important aspect of why I actually highlighted Springleaf Residence 340,000 square feet land is because when I see in the resale market, especially those projects that already POP, they have very strong resale volume, exit liquidity, and profitability. So over here I have 4 examples, right, that has been proven in the resale market to be very strong and having high profit margins. So first up, we have Park Esta. I think Park Esta doesn't need much introduction. So this land is near Eunos MRT backside. So this is a 376,000 square feet land with 1,300 plus units. So you can see based on the land density, Park Esta already is a lot more dense as compared to what we see at Springleaf Residence. And they still have very strong resale demand. If you see in the resale market, basically any 3-bedder, 4-bedder there is gone very fast, okay? So next up, we have Florence Residences. So Florence Residence also has done very well in the resale market. So the land size is 389,000 square feet. If you have been there, the facilities there has been fantastic. I see that it's very like resort themed and it has 1,400 units. So same thing, it's a lot more dense as compared to Springleaf Residence. And at the same time, the facilities there are very complete. So it really gives the people that buy for own stay, it ticks a lot of boxes basically. Yeah, and we haven't talked about the resale volume, all this. I think I won't touch too much on this part because for those, it's gonna drag on the video for too long. But in general, all these projects has done very well in the resale market because a lot of buyers, they see all this mega development, right? It does create an environment of very strong own stay, and you do feel like it's very grand. Okay, and then we have Grandeur Park Residences, Kingsport Water Bay. So for Florence and Kingsport Water Bay, right, they are not even near MRT. Yeah, but they still perform very well in the resale market. And on top of that, you can see Springleaf, they have the added advantage of being near the Springleaf MRT. Yeah, so on top of that, I think this is going to be quite a unique plus point. Okay, so next up, I'm going to be talking about the future growth and also the master plan vision, right, by URA. So over here, you can see, first thing I want to highlight is the Parcel A. So Parcel A, they actually rezoned it, and then now we have a commercial at first story at June 2025. So this one, I think targeted tender should be closing October or September. And then the new launch for this should be in late 2026. So you can see here, we have about 595 units, and then we have a commercial space of about 2,000 square meters. I think this is going to be quite interesting because if you look at this entire area, this will form like part of the amenities that Springleaf can actually leverage on. And on top of that, if you look at all the OCR recent land bids, right, developers might actually be more bullish on this product because now that they know the response for Springleaf Residence is actually quite strong. Even though not sold yet, but I can tell the hype is there. They actually might bid quite high for this upcoming plot because if you see the Lakeside plot already 1001 PSF PPR, Bayshore at 1003, Trunk Grove also at 1003. So of course these areas are a lot more mature and also 1 km within certain schools. But for Springleaf, if you are right beside MRT, I don't think it should be that far off despite the absence of the school. Okay, so right now let's discuss the broader master plan for this entire Lentor Springleaf area. As you can see, in between these two, so Springleaf is over here and then Lentor will be over at this side. And in between here, right, you can see we have a very huge plan. We have a very huge plot of land that is actually zoned for residential. So of course, if you see Springleaf here, already 900 plus unit, and it is only a small square there, right? You can imagine this is actually going to be a very big town coming up. And on top of that, in the middle, we actually have this MRT called Tagore MRT. The shell is already done, but it is not open up yet because government, they already learned from the Northeast line. If they open up the MRT too soon, they will probably be incurring losses. So as of right now, they are just trying to build up, and this is in the very early infrastructure stage for this Lentor Springleaf area. So the moment when this MRT they open it up, right, very likely a lot of these plots they would already be starting to sell for the HDB or even new launches. So one example, right, that I really see very strong parallels for the Tagore MRT is Woodleigh MRT. Okay, and for those of you that is familiar with Bidadari area, you can actually see the entire growth of this whole area. And you can see this article was in 2011, and they said Woodleigh MRT station opens up after 8 years. So this means that the shell, which means the Northeast line, the Woodleigh MRT, the shell, right, is already done in the year 2003. So it actually only opened 8 years later. So the government just left the MRT station there empty. I mean, you can see in the article they talk about the confusion of all the commuters or that. But main thing is, you can already see this Tagore MRT, they will be doing the same thing. So now I just want to talk about a little bit on the timeline, then you can kind of see where this is going towards. So just now earlier I mentioned the Northeast line, they opened 2003, then Woodleigh MRT opened 8 years later. If you look back at Thomson East Coast Line, right, they were actually open in 2020. So if you judge by the same timeline, probably Tagore MRT might open in the few years time. We don't know about that. But one thing's for sure, the Bidadari area, right, the HDB, most of them only MOP, I think, around 2023, 2024 timing. So it's not so fast. If you expect all these residential plots to be filled up soon, it's not going to be so fast. You see, so Woodleigh MRT opened in 2011, and then most of the Bidadari HDB only hit the resale market at 2023, 2024 time frame. And of course, a lot of them hit the $1 million HDB mark lah. Yeah, so for the same thing happening at Springleaf Residence, it will still need like at least 15 years, I would say. Because if you look the timeline backwards, right, Woodleigh MRT opened at 2011, then you plus another 13 years, then you got the HDB, the MOP. Yeah, so if you look closely, today is 2020, then maybe 2028, Tagore MRT opens, let's say now. Then you plus another 10 years, because you still need to construct the HDB, and then they reach the MOP stage. We will be around almost 2040 already. So, I mean, for those of you really want to wait for the full transformation for this area, this is the most realistic timeline. Yeah, but of course, just now I compare all the resale comparisons, right? They are already happening in the resale market. So I think it's more realistic if you compare to the current resale products at Lentor and also what you can see in the resale market, rather than just banking on this future transformation. I don't think that's going to be that fast, and definitely if you look around Singapore's master plan, there is a lot more developments that is happening a lot faster than 2040. So if you want to find out about those, you can feel free to WhatsApp me at 84849302. Okay, so right now I'm going to be talking about Lentor, right, as if we already hit the resale market. Okay, so this is the Thomson East Coast Line recent launches. And if you have seen my previous video talking about Springleaf, I've already covered this. I think main thing I want to jump in is this portion here. So I do foresee Lentor Mansion having very similar pricing strategy with Springleaf. That's why I use Lentor Mansion as the main example here. And then you can see for Springleaf, right, the gap between Lentor Mansion and Springleaf cheapest unit is actually 109 PSF. So this should be the gap that you will be expecting to pay for the higher floor units. Maybe you just minus about 109 PSF, but this is assuming they are of the same height. So for Lentor Mansion, it's up to 16th floor, whereas for Springleaf, actually it's up to 25th floor. But of course, for Springleaf, you're gonna be having the SLE facing and the forest facing. Whereas for Lentor Mansion, to be honest, other than the road facing and the park facing, they only have the pool facing, so they don't have that much disparity in terms of the noise and the views. So these are just an estimate lah. At least for what I see at Springleaf, we should be expecting around this price range. And then for Norwood, this is the PSF range, about 1008 to 2200 PSF, and this is further away. So this will form the safe entry level. And then Lentor Central, we have 1009 all the way to $2,500 per square feet. I think this could be also a good estimate of what to expect for Springleaf, because they are both 25th floor. Yeah, so you need to take into account Springleaf is much higher floor than Lentor Mansion, but you shouldn't be paying higher than Lentor Central, because Lentor Central, after all, the amenities there I think is going to be slightly better in terms of school and the locale, whereas Springleaf is a lot lesser in terms of amenity and not as mature as the Lentor area. Yeah, so this will form my ceiling in terms of pricing strategy. So of course, these are all across the different bedroom types. If you want to dive deeper into a specific bedroom type, you also can reach out to me at my number 84849302 for a personalized consultation. Okay, so over here is a summary of just now what I mentioned, the land sizes for each development. And then now I just want to bring you to visualize, right, the site plans side by side. Then you can see this is over here Lentor Mansion, Norwood, Lentor Central, and last but not least, we have Springleaf Residence. So if you look closely, right, the main advantage we have for Springleaf Residence, you can see actually is really the very big land they are able to plan the facilities very well spaced from each other, and most of the blocks they have a very good distance from each other and they're not that close. Yeah, so I think this is one of the main advantages of having a very big plot of land. Whereas, for example, if you go and take a look at Norwood, so Norwood, they definitely have blocks facing each other, but the distance for this is going to be much closer to what we see at Springleaf Residence. Okay, and then you see now at Lentor Mansion, you can see in terms of the number of buildings and also this conserved building, right, it does feel like Lentor Mansion is actually pretty cramped. But over here, the in front blocks is slightly shorter, whereas the behind blocks they are taller. So it does have that like elevation feel. But overall, in terms of landscaping, it's not going to be as fantastic as Springleaf Residence. And last but not least, we have Lentor Central. So Lentor Central, I think because they only have 2 blocks, they have an advantage in terms of the landscaping. That's why you can see a lot more water features despite it being the same size as Norwood in terms of land size. For the next part, I'm going to be discussing briefly about the developments that's nearby parks. So in the new launch market right now, we have Sora and LakeGarden's residences. So these 2 developments, they are right beside Lake Gardens. And if you guys have been there, it is a very nice newly built garden, and I myself lived there previously with my parents then. I really think that area is very lifestyle and it's very suitable for people that like the nature, like the jog. And then for my parents, they like to do their morning tai chi over there. I can see a certain profile fitting that area. So now that area, you already know the PSF is already transacting like I think from $2,001 to $2,300 per square feet range. But no doubt this is in the pre-harmonization era. So if you factor in the PSF adjustment, right, this should be in the range of 2004 to 2005 range, especially for the higher floors that is already transacted. So I think this one, if you compare to Springleaf Residence, I think Springleaf Residence definitely offer the advantage of being near an MRT. Although here the amenities, the closest area should be the Taman Jurong market there. It's also not that near. You should be walking about 10 plus minutes then you reach there. And they don't have MRT and they don't have school also. I think these are all very similar traits to what we see at Springleaf Residence other than the MRT part. Yeah, and Springleaf Residence is harmonized. So on top of that, you still need to adjust back if you want to compare to this one. Yeah, so I do see if people can accept at this PSF for these 2 next to garden kind of developments, right? Do you think Springleaf Residence will fare a lot worse since it's already 2 minutes walk to Springleaf MRT? I myself don't think so. That's why I really do think this development should sell like I think 80% on launch day itself, depending on how Guocoland actually want to price the units. Okay, for the next part, I'm going to be talking about land bids for the OCR region and then how it actually translated to the selling price. So I think the most recent one should be Canberra Crescent Residences, and then you can see over here for Canberra Crescent, right, the starting from price, we're looking at $1,800 for the bigger units, all the way to $2,100 per square feet for the smallest one. And the land bid price was about $790 plus for Canberra Crescent. And then for Springleaf Residence, we are looking at $900 plus for the land price. And then this is the starting from PSF from $1,900 all the way to $2,200 for the smaller units. So this actually results in a ratio of about 2.3 times, 2.2 times depending on the bedroom types. So other than that, I think if you look closely, right, actually Springleaf Residence is nearer to MRT. I mean, no doubt Canberra Crescent is going to be a more mature estate as compared to the Springleaf area. But I think this is a good gauge for you because over this weekend, we're going to be seeing Canberra Crescent's highest transacted prices and also how much the developer actually priced the higher floor units and the unblocked views. Because Canberra Crescent there, they have this landed unblocked view site. So from there, you can kind of see what is the pricing like, and then this will actually help you formulate what is a good entry price to consider for Springleaf Residence as well. Okay, so right now I'm going to be using this 5-bedroom example at Lentor Mansion versus Springleaf Residence because I think there is a lot of similarities. And for those of you looking for other bedroom types comparison, you can feel free to contact me at 8484-9302. Alright, so moving on. Here we have the 5-bedder at Lentor Mansion, and this is the 1485 square feet. I think in terms of layout, right, if you compare side by side, later I show you the Springleaf one is really very similar. So I won't go and touch too much on the layout itself because there is nothing that is significantly different. So the main part I want to touch on, right, is how I actually will guide my clients looking at the 5-bedders over here. So for the transacted prices at Lentor Mansion, lowest PSF 2156, and then the pricing is at 3.2 million. The highest PSF 2338, and this results in a price of 3.47 million. This is the highest transacted. Okay, so now for the second 5-bedroom type, which is 1507 square feet at Lentor Mansion. All these already fully sold already. So this is already prices that the market can accept. So now looking at this one 1507 square feet unit. The lowest PSF is 2125 PSF at a quantum of 3.2 million. And then the highest PSF we have 2352, and then the highest quantum transacted is at 3.544 million. So honestly, wow, when I saw all these transactions, it does seem like this Lentor area already has been very well accepted, especially at this price range. So you can see the units for the 5-bedder, right, there is nothing below 3 million anymore. Yeah, so now if we just look at the math, right, yeah, so just take note, this is probably the formula that I will also use to gauge for the smaller bedroom types. Then you can see, so the PSF range for 16 floors, we are looking about 11.3 PSF per floor. And then for this 1507 square feet one is about 14 PSF per floor. So this averages up to be about $12 per square feet per floor. And then now, if we look at Springleaf Residence 5-bedroom, right, you can see 1453 square feet, and the layout is very similar to what we see at Lentor Mansion. And now, if we look at the pricing, you can see starting from this is the price they gave us, 2072 PSF, and this results to be just slightly above 3 million. So in terms of quantum, this is definitely very attractive. And then if we use just now the formula of about 12.7 PSF per floor, then I times 25th floor, because all the way up, so this results in a PSF maximum of 2389. This is the estimate. I could be very off, I'm not too sure, but I think there is a possibility that we could actually reach this quantum in PSF, because this one is going to be facing towards the Springleaf Forest and it's going to be unblocked for many years to come. So I won't be surprised if Guocoland actually priced the 20 plus floor units at 2003 PSF even for the 5-bedders. So now the next one at Springleaf Residence is this 1475 square feet unit. So same thing here, we don't have the starting from PSF for the bigger one, but I'm just going to use the exact same PSF. So this results in a quantum of 3.056 million. And if you use the same formula, 2389 PSF, this actually results in a quantum of 3.5 million plus. Yeah, so like I said, I do expect this kind of pricing, and you shouldn't be too surprised. The main thing is, I don't think this will be wiped out on the launch day itself. It could take a little bit longer. Same thing with what happened for Lentor Mansion. Lentor Mansion also, I think, took almost 1-2 years then it fully sold out. Yeah, but majority of the 3 and 4-bedders was cleared, and remaining was really just the 5-bedders left. Like I mentioned just now, the main difference between the 5-bedders at Lentor Mansion and Springleaf isn't that much in terms of layout, but I would say in terms of facing, right, I think this is where it gets quite interesting, because you can see here, because you can see on the side plan itself, these are the 5-bedders. So they are going to be having the very premium unblocked views for Springleaf Forest, and one of it will be facing towards the poolside. Of course, this one is more for people that maybe they don't want the animal flying, all this. This one I'm not too sure on how the developer wants to deal with it, but they have this pool facing view also. So overall, all these bigger 5-bedders, right, the main advantage I see them having over the Lentor Mansion ones will be the unparalleled views at Springleaf Forest, because for Lentor Mansion, some of them they will be facing towards the other blocks at the Lentor development site, but of course they still have the park view, but overall the maximum floor is 16 floors, so in terms of view it's not that fantastic as compared to Springleaf Forest. But of course, in terms of the school, they have the 1 km so definitely they will win in that aspect. So for those of you that's looking more for the school, I think Lentor Mansion will make more sense, even though now don't have supply already. Yeah, and on top of that, because if you see the entire Lentor area, only Lentor Mansion has 5-bedders. Even the Lentor Central, they only have bigger 4-bedders, which is 1399 square feet. So they don't even have 5-bedders there. Yeah, so I think this 5-bedder is going to be quite a unique portion, because in terms of supply, right, it's quite limited along this TL line. Yeah, even if you look at the recent launches like the River Green, all this, they also don't even do 5-bedders anymore. Yeah, in fact, they do the 4-bedder at 980 square feet. So you can see the difference in the developer's direction. They are very confident to do very big units in the OCR region, but they are not that confident to do so big, especially in the CCR, RCR area. So you can see this trend, and I really do think the quantums for the OCR region can one day surpass the CCR, because I think in terms of popularity and volume, I do foresee OCR and RCR maintaining that edge over the CCR properties. Okay, so right now I'm going to be talking about Springleaf Residence in terms of the site plan, for the facings in terms of value, and also how I actually rank them. So first things first, I want to highlight is this block 815, 813 and 811. They are all facing towards SLE side. So for those of you looking purely at investment, this should be the stacks that you're looking out for. Very likely, Guocoland will be pricing them the cheapest. And then, if you are looking purely investment, not for own stay, try to go for lower floors, especially those facing the expressway, because the noise does travel up. And I've been to recent developments that DOP, like such as Penrose, they have one side that is facing towards the expressway, and then they got the side that is facing the road and then facing the pool side. The expressway one, if you see the listings in the market, right, they are the last to move, because only when the road facing one and the pool facing one. Okay, so I just give you a breakdown, right, of how the buyers actually choose the unit, because I serve a buyer there that bought the unit there. The buyers actually shortlisted expressway facing units first, budget right, because it's the cheapest. But after they went to the unit, this was about, I think, 7th floor already. So I think they start off 4th floor, 3rd floor one. Yeah, they don't start off from the ground floor. So even at such a low floor already, right, the noise was quite a lot from the expressway. So immediately my buyer felt uncomfortable. Wow, so noisy one, expressway. Yeah, it's value for money, but for own stay wise, right, you do see this problem in the resale market. After that, we went to go and see the road facing one. So the road facing one was slightly better, and in terms of noise, it wasn't that much. So the key point here is that you need to know, right, how much you're going to be paying for the premium, and in this case, it should be facing inwards here towards parcel A and the other blocks. But this will be pool facing also. So I don't know how the developers are going to price the premium of all this, but do take note, as long as you have that premium, try to keep it not too far off. Yeah, so for this one, you can feel free to reach out to me, because I already know, like for example, in resale projects like Penrose, what is the premium to pay for a pool facing versus a expressway facing. And in the resale market, that one is when the market equilibrium is achieved. And I think that one will be a very good gauge for you to reference, right? How much to pay, like, oh, you want to pay unblock view for the forest, you want to pay for pool view versus the expressway. If you have all these numbers in hand, then you know that what you are going to be paying for, you're not overpaying, and you have a certain range and percentage to go for. Okay, so to prepare for the booking day for Springleaf, right, over here I have an example that I've done for my client that actually booked the unit at Parktown Residence, and this definitely gave him a lot of clarity. So here I have all the 3 bedrooms compact that I circle on the site plan itself, and then I actually rank all the facings. So you can see over here, if you know Springleaf's breakdown, like maybe you take example 3-bedder, we have I think 6 or 7 layouts. So many layouts plus so many facings, right? It's important to rank all of them already. So you see, I'll have like inwards, far. So maybe this is like pool facing, and then it has west sun, and then some of them got school facing future residential plots, future HDB, bus interchange, bus facing, HDB with west sun, residential plots with west sun. So all these things, right, already rank accordingly. So my clients, they know if I have a cheaper stack, for example for this one, right, then I will go for this one because it's so-called more value for money. So this is something definitely I will think is very important for Springleaf Residence, and it will help you to make your decision, especially when the development is so big. Yeah, you'll be spoiled for choice, especially if your queue number is good. If your queue number not good, then very likely a lot of them will be crossed out already lah. But of course, you need to know what premium in terms of price to pay for, as I mentioned just now. So all these aspects combined together will actually formulate what I would think is a good strategy for Springleaf Residence. So other than comparing like layouts, site plan, facing, all these, no doubt these are all very important, but the key factor is actually in terms of pricing. Okay, so over here I have a compound Excel sheet. Maybe I sidetrack a bit. One thing I want to highlight, for those of you looking to exit in the market in the short term, you need to take note of all these TOP dates, because very likely for Springleaf Residence, I do foresee you having competition from Lentor Mansion and Lentor Central, because these are the plots that is going to be TOP in 2028. Other than that, the other plots, they're going to be TOP in 2026 and 2027. So don't have to worry too much about that in terms of exit supply, because for the first 1-2 years, the Lentor one will already be slowly clearing out. Okay, so let's get back to the pricing wise. So over here, this is something that I prepared for my clients, and over here I actually compiled all the current prices right for the Lentor area and Norwood Grand area. So here is all the units available on the market now, and then from there you can kind of gauge how much is the developer actually pricing all these units at, and then actually how much should you pay for the new launches that's coming. Okay, so next up, we also have this list right that I compiled for Lentor Mansion, Norwood Grand, Lentor Central, all this right. So I compiled everything together, and then I did a calculation on what I project to be Springleaf Residence pricing. So for example, I will take the projected pricing at Springleaf Residence for the lowest, and then I will minus the lowest one compared to Lentor Mansion. So from there we will have the price gap, and then for the projected price at Springleaf, I will take the highest one minus off what we transacted at Lentor Mansion for the highest 2-bed 1-bath. So this will give you a very good sensing in terms of pricing, and then to make sure you don't overpay. Because main thing is I have to be very frank. Then as good as Springleaf Residence is, right, it is very lacking in terms of amenities as of right now. So you cannot be paying more than Lentor Mansion unless it's a higher floor unit. Yeah, so these are the things that I already have prepared for all the bedroom types, yeah, and also the layouts I've already prepared here side by side. So for those of you that want to find out more and on how I actually can prepare my clients for the booking day itself, you can feel free to reach out me at my WhatsApp 84849302. Looking forward to hear from you guys. Okay, so in conclusion, right, I really think this Springleaf plot is gonna be very attractive in terms of what it can offer at this price range. Because if you go and look at what is coming up, and also next year in terms of pricing, there is no mega development that is gonna be offering this kind of Guocoland quality in terms of the site plan and the overall planning of the development at this PSF, like this 2000 PSF range near MRT. I don't think you can find anything this year and next year of the similar grandness in the product. Okay, so for the livability, it's definitely very attractive, and I do foresee families will be quite attracted to this development also because it is a mega development. Look at the facilities and see how they plan the running track. All this is very attractive already. Like if you are a family and you have like maybe pets, you have dogs, yeah, I can foresee this target market, and at the same time for nature lovers also. Yeah, so for those of you that is a bit more afraid of insects and like animals, I don't think this is a development for you. Yeah, but I do foresee there is still a very strong target market because you look at Bukit Timah Hill, every weekend also so many people, so there will be that crowd. And last but not least, and then you look at the resale timeline for the Lentor side, Woodlands side, right? If just now I mentioned the TOP dates, you won't be clashing with majority of the supply at Lentor area. So I think in terms of exit, and you're actually not rushed to exit in the short term because you can see based on what we compare with the Woodleigh, Tagore, MRT side, you just need to wait for the area to slowly develop, and hopefully the government release more land for sale, and this will help push up the price for Springleaf. But do bear in mind we are in the very early stages for this Springleaf area. So that's it for me. If you like this kind of in-depth analysis, you can feel free to check out my YouTube channel for other analysis that I've done for other new launches, and you can feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you gain some value. And for those of you that is wanting to take a look at Springleaf Residences, you can feel free to WhatsApp me at 84849302. I'm looking forward to hear from you guys. Alright, bye!